Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? It is Sunday, September the 8th. Oh, we got some music. Ron's bumping out. We're jamming out here.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right,
Start
well,
us off.
everybody, it's Sunday, September the 8th. We talking about sports. I'm Roland. The NFL season is officially upon us. It was a long summer, but it was well worth the wait. The wait is over, and we can all now here indulge and let our teams and our fantasy teams, decide our mood for the next couple of months. But hey, I'm starting off happy. I'm starting off on a high. We've had games on Thursday and Friday. Not going to complain about that. But hey, we got the full squad. It's all four of us. All the boys are here. Ben, Ron, Justin, how y'all boys doing? Hopefully you guys have indulged in some football the past couple of days. How have y'all been doing?
Shit, we back, baby. We're back. I'm excited. I'm just sharing on Facebook. So if y'all have social media, go and click on it and follow us right now and share the video. We're going to get into fantasy today. We're going to get into survivor pool picks, a little bit of everything. I'm excited to be back with the boys for the new season. And let's get it, bro. We already had some success. Ben already hit a must start. So we're going to be bringing you that fucking heat, bro.
Yeah, it was nice to have two games on Thursday and Friday. Like Roland said, football has been two TVs since yesterday, so got both TVs set up. So as soon as the pod ends, we got Red Zone and we got, the Texans game on the other one. But looking forward to talk everything football today. Like Ron said, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of survivor, a little bit of best bets for week one. And shit, the whole gang is back together. So, only football on Sunday could bring all of us back together.
True story.
There we go. How you doing, Justin? How was your football Saturday yesterday? You're big on college football. How was your day?
I spent the morning just kind of recovering because I'm going to be honest, man. That 6 p.m. block hit last night, and I was a little bit overstimulated. There was about 5 football games that I was having to flip through that I wanted to see. Somehow, South Florida and Alabama kept it pretty competitive. That should have been a blowout right away.
Yeah.
For 3 quarters, and that's the day they were naming Nick Saban Field. So I know he wasn't having it too much those early 3 quarters, but they pulled away. Oklahoma showed me that they're beatable. Oregon, once again, putting up another flopper, man, where it's got real close. But, that Boise State running back is showing Genty that he's going to be in the Heisman mix pretty soon, the way he's running that ball.
Yeah, and by 6 o'clock, you're already on cloud 9 because your Longhorns, that they pulled off a big victory in Ann Arbor, the big house, that they showed Michigan what was up. They dominated them from start to finish, looking like a true contender. Any thoughts on the Texas Longhorns? Because we do have some Longhorns fans here on the podcast.
That's the big house, but you know what? We own a little bit of a timeshare there now. We really dominated that game for the most part. It took to the last drive for Michigan to finally get in and break it. We held them to under 100 yards. That's something, a feat that only 4 teams have done in the last 4 years against Michigan. So it's looking good. The boys up front, we lost some O-line, we lost some D-line, and we're looking strong on both sides. The trenches is where we won yesterday against an absolute physical team. So I was super happy to see that.
Against a team with no McCarthy, Blake Corum, or Jim Harbaugh, right?
Or Connor Stallions, too.
Or Connor Stallions. Top 10 ranked team, though.
Ben, any quick thoughts on your Longhorns?
No, they look good, man. Can't wait for the game against Georgia, but it literally looks like you got players at every position. We knew that Texas had that drought of sending NFL talent here in recent years. The running backs have been going. We've been seeing more wide receivers. We saw Worthy on Thursday. God damn, Andy Reid got a new toy. And there were some people that were bold enough to start Xavier Worthy in a lot of leagues that I'm in, man.
Mm-hmm. He got 20 points.
You got a flex spot. Yeah, 20 points on 3 touches. The 3 touches worries me a bit, but the Longhorns are back. It's official. Stamp, baby.
There we go. I like it. And like Ben said, they got some big games coming up, especially against Georgia there in Austin. I know a lot of people excited about that game. But also, as Ben was talking about with Xavier Worthy, we've had some football already kick off here. We've had a Thursday game. The Chiefs started their defense, their run for the three-peat. Taylor Swift was in attendance, if you guys were wondering. But yes, they pulled off the victory. Close there at the end, saved by the big toe of Isaiah Likely there at the end. And then we had that Friday night game. Guys, any thoughts on the field? Did you guys have any problem with that? I felt like the players were slipping and sliding more than usual. Any thoughts on the Friday game? It was exciting, however.
Yeah, that first half, they were all over the field. I think at one point, it seemed like Watson got cost a touchdown. He was thrown to the back of the end zone, and he slips. Barkley, first play, he gets the rock. He slips. Even when they changed cleats towards the second half, there was still some slipping going on. The pick that Jalen threw on the very first pick, he doesn't, he plants his feet and he doesn't move forward because I think he's afraid to slip. He throws it only with his arm and it gets picked off. I didn't love the field. I'll just say I didn't like the field.
Yeah, guys were having a hard time cutting. Running routes was a mystery at times for receivers. Ben, did you have any thoughts on the field? I know you're a big soccer guy. Any problems there with the Brazil field? I think it was on the field of Corinthians. Is that correct? Or am I messing up? Yeah, it was Corinthians.
Yeah, they could have probably picked a better field. But that's
probably their best field too.
It was frustrating, bro. It was really frustrating. And what was funny, I'll get this out of the way first because I saw a meme. The Giants fans, and they're already sour about the Saquon. But they were like, yeah, Saquon's O-line sucks with the Giants. And it was a clip of him just slipping by himself in the backfield. That's all they were able to get off of his 3 touchdown games. But no, the field was upsetting. I think that the defense was on skates. It was good for fantasy purposes. I mean, a lot of people hate Saquon, A.J. Brown, Hurts. On the other side, Jordan Love had a good game. You had Jalen Reed. It was good for the offenses. I mean, he put up points, over 60 combined points. But, I mean, the defense is already at a disadvantage. And then with a terrible field like that, I didn't enjoy it at all. You have so much time to plan because you're going over there and you can't even get the field right.
Max.
Come on, do better. What up, Shay Keys?
Great point there, Justin. I mean, Ben had a lot of time to prepare, still a bad field. Ron, any quick thoughts on the field before we look at the slate here and talk about some of the exciting games in front of us?
Shit, it didn't bother Saquon, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he went off.
It bothered Jordan Love a little bit. We're gonna get into that right now, but a field to field. I mean, I remember back in the day when they would play on the fucking Oakland A's baseball field. You had the damn fucking dirt
going through the infield
shortstop area there. So hey, man, you play where you play. It is what it is.
Yeah, and thanks for those thoughts, Ron. And the field was a mystery, but it's still an exciting game with the Eagles pulling it off. And looking at the slate here, a lot of good matchups, not too many big lines out there. If you guys are wondering about Survivor Pool, not a lot of places to go this week, but got some good divisional matchups. You got the Texans and the Colts, always an exciting matchup. Saints and Panthers, Chargers and Raiders. Lots of exciting divisional matchups here. And you guys know the trends. Divisional dogs usually do good in these matchups. Hoping that doesn't happen here in some instances, but we'll see. Any games that you guys have your eyes on going forward here?
Yo, of course. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's the 3:00 game for us, the boys. 3 of us are fans. We'll get to that slide later, but that's the game I'm looking forward to the most, obviously.
I'm looking forward to the Colts and the Texans the most because I think the Texans are going to have a tough test. I've been known to get on that Indy train from our show earlier, so I really want to see if the Texans are going to keep on doing what they were doing last year.
There we go. I like that, Ron. What about you, Bennett? Going with the Texans or another team on here caught your eye?
That's the obvious one for me, and it's for other reasons. For me, I'm just a big non-believer in Anthony Richardson, and I don't think he's that good. So I feel that I know the Texans are slight favorites, but the Colts are a very popular dog at home this week. Division game right off the bat. You don't really want to play those. Similar to the Panthers and the Saints one. The Panthers are supposed to be better this year. The Saints still have Carr there. So you got some good games today. I'm most looking forward to the Commanders and the Bucks, to be honest with you. I want to see Jaden Daniels. I got him going in several fantasy leagues. I'm bought in on him this year. I like him to be the rookie of the year, but I think that just right off the bat, he can kind of hit the ground with the wheels rolling. And the Commanders have some weapons around there, to make that possible. So I'm looking forward to that Bucks and Commanders game.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that a little bit and to generalize it for me real quick, I'm just interested in seeing how all the rookies do. I feel like this is one of the more hyped rookie classes, starting with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Ben already mentioned, Ryan in the comments talking about the
Marvin
Bears
Harrison.
hype, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors for the Giants. I'm heavily invested in terms of fantasy on a lot of these rookies. I think some of these guys are going to translate just from the right off the bat, hopefully for my sake. So it starts here week 1. And I'm just excited to see how these rookies do. I feel like this is one of the better classes and got some exciting matchups for them across the board when you really think about it. And we'll get into it as some of us are on some of these guys to start off in fantasy. But before we get started, I'm wearing his jersey. Three
That's what
out
I
of
was
the
talking
four of
about.
us are Cowboys fans.
You heard it
And
here
you know
first.
the Cowboys have a flair for the dramatics. It started with the CD negotiations. We weren't going to sign him. We were $1 million or $2 million off of what CD wanted. We ended up signing him. Everybody's happy there. And then the question turned, or the spotlight turned to, when's Dak going to get his deal done? Dak's going into his last year. It was looking like the Cowboys were okay letting him go otherwise, naked into the season or unprotected without an extension. But lo and behold, Dak Prescott at the 9th hour gets the deal done. Cowboys make Dak Prescott the highest paid quarterback, player, however you want to put it, in NFL history. 4 years, 240, not all guaranteed, but pretty much, if you want to call it 231 guaranteed. Justin, I see you nodding your head. I know you have some I guess more room or more love for Dak Prescott than some of us on this podcast. What are your thoughts on this contract? You happy it finally got done?
I never had a doubt that it was going to get done once CD got paid. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors by Jerry Jones. CD's not going to sign that contract unless he knows who's throwing him the football, which would be Dak Prescott. So I knew that deal was coming. It's a little bit, I wish it would have came a little faster than day one of the Cowboys game. But I'm glad it got done. Quarterback is such a hard position to hit on. Once you have stability at quarterback, you kind of have to ride it out. You've seen other teams, Jets just draft quarterback after quarterback and just not be able to hit. We even seen the for sure guys like Trevor Lawrence get drafted, and he's still he's good enough. He's serviceable, but he didn't project to be exactly what we thought he would be. We thought he was the next Peyton Manning, and he's not exactly that either. So when you have stability, you have to just ride it out in the NFL, and I'm glad we got the deal done.
Ron, I know you've shared your thoughts about Dak. I think you said that if we got this deal done, you don't know what you do, what your thoughts would be, because you're not the biggest Dak guy after his latest performance in the playoffs. I agree with about everything that Justin just said, as far as it's hard to get a quarterback when you already have one. It could turn into a revolving door. Are you ready to hop back on the train, Ron, for another ride? What are your thoughts on this contract? Happy it got done? Rather than go with the uncertainty all year?
No, I'm fucking not happy that it got done. I was kind of looking forward to the Dak era getting put in our past, in the rearview mirror.
Okay.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, this guy's mediocrity king, right? I mean, no even glimpse of the Super Bowl. I mean, one and done. I mean, picks here, picks there. It's just, I mean, what are we doing? That's that sound bit that we need from fucking Scott Van Pelt. What are we doing? I get your point, though. I would not like to see like a 30-something-year-old Kirk Cousins come in, but fuck, man, he just doesn't sling it enough for me. Go out and get somebody like Baker, who's gonna Ben's phrase here, die on his shield. Get somebody like that. I mean, I don't care. Just throw the ball around and just want to win. And I don't see that from Dak. I see him doing all these commercials and all this media type stuff. I mean, he's a fucking, 5th round pick from Mississippi State. And now he's a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. That's not the number one thing on his mind. The number one thing to me is like, oh, I made it, mama. Well, RIP. I shouldn't go there.
Damn, bro.
I should. I shouldn't have got. But either way, it's just more like hype train for him mentally, for me, I think, and not as much focus on the team winning and the team's success.
He did have that Mississippi State team at number 1 ranked when he was in college, though. We got to remember that.
Yeah, and he got his ass kicked at spring break too.
What are your thoughts, Ben, on this contract? You happy the Cowboys got this done? Or
Love it. I'm extremely happy they got it done. And Roland, I think the word that I was looking for earlier was narratives. But I'm down to put this narrative out there. I think, Jerry, this was still a power move. Listen, why give him the contract, like Justin said, the day of the game? The day of the game, underdogs against the Browns. If they lose, it's gonna be nasty. Jerry does like 10 radio spots. Yeah, so this is just the opportunity for Jerry to keep him in check if they do lose this game to the Browns. Because why not wait till after the game? Maybe they get the win. You give him his contract. But the morning of the contract, I mean, granted, that's way better than being arrested, right? The day of the morning of your game. Shout out Tyreek Hill. but you get $231 million guaranteed this morning. Got a big game where you're the underdog against the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it's just a recipe. It's a lot, I think, to kind of bottle. It's been a lot for Dak. I know he said that he was kind of done with Jerry, right? Jerry, they did call his bluff, ended up paying both guys. Said, you know what? I think we're all right without CD. You know, are we going to miss him? Yeah, we'll miss him, but we're going to be okay. Goes out and signs him. You know, says this shit about Dak. Goes out, signs him. So the Micah drama will, you know, transpire probably next summer.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure when he's due for a contract, but he's next. Love it as a Cowboys hater. You know, I'm transparent. I am a Cowboys hater, but it's just good to keep the Cowboys in the news also, though, bro, because I mean, a lot of the times they're the talk of the town.
Reasons.
Yeah, a lot of the times they're the talk of the town because Dak came up short, or you know, whatever, the coach or whatever it may be. But it just the narrative of just keep the Cowboys in the news. I mean, it fits it really well.
Yep.
And on that note, I just put it on our social medias on Instagram and on Facebook. We want to hear your thoughts on the Dak Prescott situation. So go leave a comment and let us know what your thoughts are on this.
Points well taken across the board from all three of you guys. But yeah, just like I said earlier, I'm just glad that we got it done. You know, no more uncertainty, and you know, we know what's going to happen this year for the Cowboys. We're going to go as far as Dak can take us, and you know, we'll go from there. Hopefully, the rest of the team comes ready to play here week 1. Nice little news that happened there, but let's do a little recap and kind of get into the meat of the NFL breakdown here. Sunday sit down. We talking about sports. It is week 1, and it wouldn't be week 1 without an injury. I'm sad that it happened because it happened at the end of the game, 4th quarter, last drive. Game was pretty much in tow for the Eagles. The quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, suffered a sprained MCL. Looked pretty bad, but I would say this is a good prognosis. He's only going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. It was looking like it could have been on the season-ending, you know, side of the spectrum. The Packers' backup, as we saw, as he came in for those, you know, 2 or 3 attempts that he had, didn't even get to pass off there at the end, was Malik Willis, former 3rd-round pick for the Tennessee Titans. So from Liberty, shout out Justin. There we go. What does this do, Ben, to the value of Love's teammates? And we'll let this take us here to the rest of the presentation here for We Talk About Sport.
I had Love on my top 10 QB list, so this does suck. I know you said it wasn't season ending, Roland, but it is season lingering. I mean, it's, you know, this is not something that's going to go away. You mess up your knee week 1. You know, good thing you didn't tear anything, but it's week 1 out of an 18-game season, 17 games, whatever it is. Not good at all. I don't like the future projection. I know I had Green Bay picked to win that division. You know, don't like that. You pointed at the backup. I don't think that any of these players are playable. I was bought into Jordan Love, and the fact that he can spread the ball around. I didn't want to have to play that wide receiver carousel with the Packers receivers. You know, 1 week it's going to be Reed, 1 week it's going to be Watson, 1 week it'll be Dobbs or Dubes. So I didn't buy into all of that. You know, Josh Jacobs probably going to be getting, you know, 25, 30 carries a game now if they are going to stick with Willis. They got to do something, though. I know it's only 4 weeks, you know, at most, but with Willis, you don't give yourself a chance to win at all if you're the Packers.
So no love for fantasy players, it sounds like, other than Josh Jacobs, just off a perceived volume going forward. Justin, what are your thoughts on this? Jordan Love going down 2 to 4 weeks. You've thrown away the Packers toys on your fantasy team for the time being?
I think you just got to focus on Jacobs, like Ben said. I think he'll get a bulk of the carries. He only had 16 carries Friday night. He'll probably get 20 to 25 going on out. Malik Willis, he's not NFL talent. He's got the strong arm, but he didn't even throw it. We didn't even get to see the Hail Mary at that point. Yep. Jordan Love didn't look good either. When he was on, inaccurate too. Was 1 interception, 17 for 34. He's only hitting 50% of clip, and he's only for 260. Ratings were down. Quarterback play in that game wasn't the best. Let's be real. Jalen had 2 interceptions as well.
Yeah,
not super high on Jordan Love. I didn't have him in my top 10. For the most part, last season, he wasn't good. It was in the second half of the season that he kind of turned up. I think this is where, that balance comes back to who really Jordan Love is. And as Ben said, MCL, not season ending, season lingering. I thought that was so key, Ben. I agree 100% with that.
I mean, they were playing the Eagles and they were in the game. So although Jordan Love didn't play that well, I mean, he is the reason why they're going to be competitive against these teams that have Super Bowl or bust expectations like the Eagles.
Yeah, like Justin said, he did look a little off. I mean, he alluded to that 50% clip, and you didn't even need those numbers to see it. I mean, he was. I know, but he was throwing behind a lot of guys, even without the slips and stuff. The timing was a little off. But back to Josh Jacobs, I think he looked good in the second half. He got some run there, found the open field. Looked like he still has some juice left, so that was positive. Hopefully he doesn't waste it all, on those 25 to 30 carries that you guys are talking about him getting, because I do agree that he's going to eat here going forward in terms of volume. Ron, any thoughts on this quarterback going down? You staying away from Packers going forward too?
I was staying away with them from the beginning. I did have Reed on one of my teams because he went off at the end of last year.
Now off again, game one.
Yeah, now that's in jeopardy with this injury here to Jordan Love. But I wasn't on the hype train here. I wasn't on the Jordan Love train to begin with. I had an opportunity to draft him in all my drafts, and I just didn't want to. I'm not really a believer in him. I mean, he royally gave it to us in the playoffs last year, but other than that, there really wasn't much. And I'm just not going to get on the hype train, and this news isn't really big for me.
Nice. I see what you're saying. Stayed away, not really affected. I'm on the same train except for Josh Jacobs. I do have some of him throughout my fantasy teams. Liked the volume going in, gonna like it even more. And that leads us into our week 1 injury report. It's only week 1, and there's some big names on here. I mean, just for it being week 1, and I think it's important to spend a little bit of time here. Jamar Chase, he's officially listed with an illness, but we all know that's just posturing for the contract negotiations that have been going on. Looking like he's not going to get signed, but it's looking like he's going to play. I got an update. So that questionable, you can turn it to a probable, and he is going to suit up, and we'll see what he's going to do. Because he even said he would be limited if he did suit up. So we'll see. T. Higgins, his teammate, unfortunately, man, it was looking like it was going to be a smash this week for T. Higgins. No Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is on a contract year. He signed his franchise tag. It wasn't going to, hold out or anything like Chase. And then he comes up with a hamstring in the middle of the week. He's not going to play. He's doubtful. So it's looking like Chase is going to get full run here by himself. And I see my fantasy counterpart signing Andre Iosavius or whatever his name is, some backup for the Bengals. So he's going to get some run today, whoever that is. Look out for other Bengal peripheral players like Zach Moss and Chase Brown maybe to get a step up here. CMC, number 1 pick, Achilles calf designation. It's really been lingering throughout the back half of camp. Caught on throughout this week, officially questionable. I mean, I got reports yesterday that he was going to get a full workload, but he's still carrying this tag, and it's a little scary because it's calf and Achilles. Russell Wilson, he's officially not going to play. The Steelers are going to roll with none other than Justin Fields.
That's going to get interesting.
Going to get another chance to prove why he's a first round pick. Justin Fields sympathizers, you guys got another game here to watch as he goes up against the Falcons as they introduce their new quarterback in Kirk Cousins coming off that Achilles. Josh Downs isn't going to make it back with that high ankle sprain. He suffered that early in camp, and so for him to be missing week 1 with that high ankle sprain, it was pretty serious. They're playing it safe with him. That's Colts receiver. So look for a guy like A.D. Mitchell, rookie receiver, maybe to get some more run that he wouldn't have gotten with Downs there. So we'll see what happens there. Matt Gay, he's not going to make it. It looks like kicker for the Colts. I just say because he's attached to a pretty decent team. You guys might have had him in your lineup, so got to check that. DeAndre Hopkins, hamstring's been bothering him for most of camp. He is going to play. He is suiting it up. So if you guys have him, thinking about putting him in the flex, if you don't have another option, he might be there for you. And then DJ Chark, wide receiver for the Chargers, he's officially out. So that means that Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, they're getting full run. No DJ Chark there. He was one of the bigger signings for that team and one of the better receivers on the roster, just name-wise. Guys, what are y'all are doing about these names? Any worry about CMC? Just get it off the top. He's the number 1 pick. Got to talk about him.
I mean, I didn't have the number 1 pick in any of my leagues, so I have no worry when it comes to that. In a way, I kind of hope he's out because I'm playing him in 2 of my leagues at this point. He's a touchdown a game. You know, for the most part, I think that record finally got broken last season where he didn't get one touchdown. But yeah, I got no worries about that. The highlight for me here is the Russell Wilson thing because I'm a Justin Fields believer. I'm a Justin Fields truther. And if he can show out enough, Russie might not even get the field again after this if he shows out enough. So I'm pulling for the Steelers now.
I second that notion. I think Fields is better than Russell Wilson. As a CMC owner previously in fantasy, you just got to live with that tag every week. Yeah, previously. You just got to live with that tag every week. He's going to play most often than not, but he's going to live on that injury report. You know what I mean? And I was also listening to some podcasts, and it was like a sideline reporter, and they were saying that if a player misses one play in practice, they have to be marked as a limited participant in practice. Wow. So that's kind of how anal they are about it. It's not like you need to miss 50% or you don't do some drills. It's if you miss one play. The NFL has said that for betting purposes, they got to be like really good with the injury news for the most part. So I guess that's why they're taking that route. The T. Higgins thing, I made the mistake. Last year I traded for him while he was injured. Kind of got that second half run from him. Made the mistake of drafting him this year, and he's already playing these fucking games week 1, bro. When, like Roland said, it was looking so nice. I'm done. He's burnt. He's off my draft board from here to like I'm in the grave.
And it's a hamstring, so it's scary.
That's season long. Yeah, that's
it's
lingering.
lingering.
Hey, can I break some news real quick? Football related.
Yeah, what's the news?
Related?
Yeah, what's the news?
Super Bowl halftime show has been announced. Not sure if anybody knew. What a run, Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
He's gonna open up with his only number 1 hit. Okay,
they're not like us.
Yeah, what a run!
Yeah,
what a run!
That's awesome. My bathroom break now this season, I guess.
Awesome. I'm just saying it's been put out.
Ron, your Bengals, you roll with Joe Burrow. They're a popular team this week. Parlays, teasers, survivor pool, any way you want to put it. The Bengals they have a favorable matchup against the Pats. Any worry about Jamar Chase if you drafted him, or Joe Burrow if you drafted him fantasy-wise going into this week 1? Because Chase has said that he might not play the whole game. He might be limited.
I bench Burrow.
Worry is definitely the key word here. I mean, these are guys who are obviously first rounders in Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, middle of the pack kind of guy. Ben drafted him, so definite worry, because you don't want to look at your lineup and ever have to question yourself about putting a guy in because of either an injury, or what makes it worse is that you don't even know if they want to be on the field. And when that happens, it's like a day-to-day thing. If you find out Monday or Sunday he gets hurt, you're like, fuck it, I can't play him for the next 2-3 weeks. But if it's like an every week thing, an everyday thing where you're constantly having to check the temperature of his relationship with the team and all this stuff, that's what you don't want as a fantasy owner. You want to have security, and these guys do not give you security. There's so much talent there with Jamar Chase, that run that they made to go to the Super Bowl. You wanted to see that keep going, and it just fell apart ever since then. The contract negotiations, the diva attitude, that sucks, man. I hate to see that. As a fantasy owner, you hate to see it even more. I'm focusing on the DeAndre Hopkins injury here because I did take the Bears in survivor pool, so that actually helps me out a little bit. I'm a huge believer this year, too, on George Pickens. His 3rd year in the league, he didn't have a lot of success, but I felt that was on the quarterbacks that he was having. I like the Russell pickup. I thought him and having a veteran quarterback back there would help him. Now we're getting Justin Fields. Regardless, I think that Pickens has a big year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's my take on the injury report.
So you're not worried about the switch over to Justin Fields for Pickens? Because that was one thing I was thinking about. I'm not even touching Pickens with Fields, but Fields has shown to support at least one guy, right, with DJ Moore last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can roll out of the pocket a little bit more, and as a quarterback, you want to have that safety blanket that gets tossed around a lot, and I think that's going to be George Pickens for him because he knows I can throw it up at least, and this guy can go make a play. I don't have to put it in some type of window because we know his accuracy isn't the best.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know he has trouble with that. But all right, let's move on to the weather report real quick. Not really too much to report on here. Couple of possible weather games. Miami looked like it was sunny in some of those Tyreek Hill video, so might not have much to worry about there. And I just put Trevor Lawrence because when it is raining, he does have trouble holding on to the ball. It does fumble. Tampa Bay, maybe some weather, just typical Florida weather, and then there might be some rain and heavy winds, I think is a thing to point out there, in Arizona and Buffalo. So really not too much there on the weather report. Just want to point out high winds and rain when we can for fantasy and betting purposes. All right, let's get into it. We talked about it. Ben already hit with Rashee Rice right in the middle, week 1. I'm glad he hit because I had him on a lot of my teams starting week 1 for fantasy. So big props there, Ben, hitting on Rashee Rice there against the Ravens. Didn't get a touchdown. That was the only thing that was missing. But otherwise, came through. No complaints at all. Talk about your other 2 must starts a little bit more here.
Yeah. For the most part, I mean, I know Rashee Rice, for some people, he was maybe a flex receiver. But, here it does say 52%. The Cook one is a very obvious one. Obviously, if you have him, he's probably starting at your RB2. Maybe you have him in the flex. I just have him as a must start because I think that he's going to put up 20-plus points today.
There you go. Yeah. You think it's a smash?
I think he's a smash. I think he's going to be a top 10 running back, RB1 in that category if you're in a 10-man league this week. So I have him on there. Really good matchup against the Cardinals, the Bills. They lost Stephon Diggs, no Curtis Samuel today. So they have Shaqiri. They have their newly drafted Keon Coleman, rookie second-round pick. And then you have Dalton Kincaid, who's probably going to eat the most on that offense. But for the most part, I think the Bills are going to be running the ball. And I think we're going to get a lot of James Cook. I see him definitely getting in the end zone today. But I like him as a smash spot, Ryan. Gotcha smash. And then lastly, I'll go to Zamir White. Maybe a guy that you have to start no matter what. If you went hero running back, meaning you drafted wide receivers and you kind of waited for your Whites and Chuba Hubbards, the guys that are going to be RB1s, but maybe are not in the best position. I like Zamir White today against the Chargers. Both of those teams, it's got a pretty low total. I think it's sitting at around 41. But I think that White is going to be the workhorse for the Raiders. We know that they're starting Gardner Minshew, got Devontae Adams, a newly acquired tight end. But I think that Zamir White is going to eat in the passing game and in the running game. So I do like him to be at least an RB2 this week.
Nice. I like that. No complaints there. Justin, any thoughts on the 2 guys that have not kicked off here that Ben just talked about?
No, they're good. I like both reasons for both of them.
Yeah, same good shit, man.
Yeah, I like both these guys. James Cook especially up against that Cardinals defense.
I have one for Ben that's not on his list that I thought he might have gone with, and that's his boy Tank Dell. Last season with 5 games with him and Nico Collins being healthy, Tank Dell outperformed Nico Collins, and this is going to be in a dome. You're going to see fast-paced. I think Tank Dell eats today.
Nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I want to see that. I think, like, in fantasy purposes, I have the only wide receiver that I drafted from the Texans is Tank Dell, just based off the value. Nico and Diggs, you had to get them pretty high, and you just don't know what to expect with all of those options for Stroud. So I like Tank Dell and I like Stroud.
Extra mouth to feed, you're right.
As far as that goes, the one that I will say, honorable mention, I was going to throw him on the list if I was going to kick James Cook out. I think Jaden Daniels. He might be a guy that you all drafted maybe as QB2. For me, we talked about the Bengals and, those question marks. We know that the Patriots play pretty tough defense. I benched Joe Burrow. I started Jaden Daniels in place of Joe Burrow. And that is because I did draft Joe Burrow before Daniels. It's just a weekly thing. Don't like the way it's shaking up for the Bengals offense. So I went with Daniels, and I do think that he's a viable option this week at QB.
I like that. I like that as an honorable mention. I'm starting Daniels in one league as well. So hopefully, like I said, the rookies come through this week. All right, let's go to the next one. I want to say it's Ron. Ron, you talked about these with Ben earlier, but let's talk about it for everybody here on Sunday. Your must starts.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going Alvin Kamara, Jared Goff, and Mike Evans. Kamara's going up against one of the worst defenses in the league, if not the worst defense. They allowed the 4th most passing yards last year and the 4th most points and the most rushing touchdowns overall in 2023. they
There we
didn't go out and get anybody in the offseason. I mean, you're not going to sit here and say that Carolina did this and they went and did this in the draft, or they got, this coach and this new system. Absolutely nothing over there in Carolina. I think you said it off camera that if you're ever going to take the Saints in a survivor pool, this might be the week. And obviously you can't take them again, but you don't want to wait. Just take them against the worst team at home in the season opener. I think Alvin Kamara is going to go off. He's going to have himself a game today. Jared Goff, man. Jared the Jeweler in prime time. This guy is Mr. Prime Time, and he's going to get a great game against the Rams, and he doesn't turn the ball over a lot, boys. You'll see a pick from him here and there. I'm not going to lie, but not really, these dumb decisions, throwing into double coverage, smart guy, veteran. I give him a lot more credit than what people do. And then the Aaron Donald-less Rams. Another team who not a lot of stars over there. Aaron Donald's not going to be in his face. You don't have to double team him. Now you have an extra lineman to protect him. We know all the weapons he has over here with Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The game last year versus the Rams was great. He put up great numbers, and I think he continues that today. And then Killer Mike, the only Mike in the league. Mike Will makes a statement, but when you say Mike, you're talking about Mike Evans. He's going up against that Washington defense. They allowed the most points touchdowns in 2023, and Cowboys right here. Dan Quinn is gone. He went with them, but he doesn't have a lot of superstars, in my opinion, on that defense that's going to go stop Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. And then, there it is. That's what I put at the end. Baker picking up where he left off. I'm on George Pickens and Baker Mayfield this year as well. I think me and Justin were going over some stats, and Baker was a top 10 fantasy quarterback last year. I mean, he was 8th, maybe 7th, something like that. And I think he continues. Yeah, so I think he continues that this year. So Kamara, Jared Goff, and Mike Evans are the must-starts for me. I like to go with these guys because they weren't first-rounders. They weren't, second-rounders. These are the guys that you picked up, maybe 4th, 3rd, Goff at the end. And these are the guys where you're looking at your roster and you're like, fuck, should I start him or not? I probably should. I probably shouldn't. So that's why for me, it's like, you know what? Don't think about it. They're must-starts. Honorable mentions, I had Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, and Sam Laporta.
Nice. I like those. Mike Evans, like fine wine, just getting better with time. No argument there. And then the only comment I have on Jared Goff is, I thought Aaron Donald went to Pitt. I saw him on the sidelines at the USC game. I thought that was a little weird. Love, right? But oh well.
I liked Ron's pick on Kamara. I like what he said too. I believe the Carolina Panthers did draft well. They just drafted well on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
So Ron's right. They didn't address defense at all. They got their little Debo Jr. and Xavier Leggett. They got a stash player in Jonathan Brooks, the Texas running back, who was going to be a Heisman in that Heisman mix. And then they got Jatavian Sanders. They did really good in giving weapons on offense, nothing for the defense. So, Ron, you're spot on.
Ben, any comments there on the guys?
I like the spot for Jared Goff. That was somebody who might not have been drafted in some of the leagues. If you're in a 10-man league and 12-man leagues, he probably was. But this is a pretty good spot for him. I mentioned that I really like their kicker, Jake Bates, but they have a bunch of dome games. And we know Jared Goff in a dome, he's probably going to be pretty good this season. Might not be top 10, might be just outside, but there's going to be those weeks where he is a top 10 QB. So not a bad guy to keep as your QB2 on your roster.
Yeah, and he's got a plethora of weapons. Hopefully, some of those guys, too, take some steps up, like Jameson Williams for that team. All right, well, I'll get to mine real quick. For me, I've been a big proponent in fantasy. Sometimes you can't wait to see it in order to believe it. Sometimes you got to be ahead of the curve. You got to, start the guy before it happens. And I'm going here. My must start is Malik Neighbors. The reasons that I have up here that I'm going to mention real quick. Minnesota defense just historically has not been very good against wide receivers. They're the 28th ranked defense last year overall in fantasy after when 2023 ended. He's got favorable wide receiver cornerback matchups across the field. I think the Minnesota has 34-year-old Stephon Gilmore. They have an older Shaq Griffin, and they move Malik Neighbors across the field. And then in the one preseason game, small sample size, but he's already dominating target share, 33% target share from Daniel Jones. Just got to hope a lot of those are catchable for him. And he's literally, in my opinion, got zero target competition when it just comes to looking at the depth chart and looking at the talent pool there. No disrespect to Darius Slayton. He's been a guy that you can just, throw a dart at hopefully one week and he'll hit for some touchdowns for you. So no disrespect there, but he's going up against Darius Slayton. Wandale Robinson is there. Hyatt is there in the back of that depth chart. Daniel Bellinger is the new tight end. So no target competition for Malik Neighbors. I think it sets up really well for him to make a splash week 1. Just got to hope, Daniel Jones doesn't wet the bed. And even when he does, though, like in that game where he got, clipped for throwing those 2 pick sixes to the Texans, Neighbors did pretty good. I mean, he had, like I said, he had those 6 out of the 18 passes were to Neighbors that one game. So I'm going to go with Neighbors here as my must start. You want to put him in. You don't want to miss out on the big splash, especially if it's going to happen week 1, like I'm predicting it to. Then I'm just kind of, flipping, going to the other end of the spectrum, a guy who's hitting that age cliff when you're looking at his position in Joe Mixon up in that 28, 29-year-old range. Starting his first season for the Houston Texans. Texans made a lot of splashes. This is just another pure matchup play for me. I like his matchup against Indianapolis. 28th ranked defense versus running backs in fantasy last year. Allowed over 120 rushing yards a game to the position last year in 2023. And this is just straight from the horse's mouth. The offensive coordinator saying Mixon is still very much a workhorse. He's still very much a running back that can do everything. So his only competition there is Dameon Pierce, third-year guy who kind of took a step back last year when guys were looking for him to take a step up. So I like Joe Mixon to fit in there, and he's a guy that I think is going to, hit the end zone today. So these are all guys that you've drafted high, mid-range guys. They're must-starts, kind of following kind of what Ben did with his 3 picks. And then Devon Achane is another guy. I'm high on him. I've been high on him since last year. He was the end of the draft stash for me. In a lot of my drafts when I could get him. We all remember the 3 or 4 week span that he had last year for the Dolphins. I think he scored over 50 points in PPR one of those weeks. A great matchup. He's expected to take another step forward this year in his second year. Jacksonville defense allowed over 100 rushing yards to the position, allowed at least 13 fantasy points to the position 14 times last year in 2023. And they allowed simply the most catches to the running back position in 2023. And I expect Achane to be effective in the passing game for the Dolphins yet again this year. So I like these 3 to get off to a good start. And if you got them in your fantasy lineup, I think you got to leave them parked there at least for week 1 and then see where it takes you from there. But yeah, I've been high on Neighbors and Achane for the most part. And I like Mixon week 1.
Yeah, Neighbors was the better receiver from the LSU draft that came out. Achane, I love the kid. I think he's going to eat. But the thing that worries me with him sometimes is they will give Mostert the ball towards the goal line and not let Achane get his touchdown.
He's a touchdown monster.
And I hate that sometimes. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on that. Mixon I think is going to be a smash for the Texans. I really wanted him to be a Cowboy. Unfortunately, we didn't sign him.
I was actually on the fence on Mixon. He was an honorable mention for me, and I have him in a lineup. And with all those points that you gave, Roland, I think I'm going to start him, bro. Fuck it. Just get it.
Yeah, I like his
He's
week 1
in my
matchup.
roster.
Ben, you're the Texans guru. What are your thoughts on Mixon week 1 and any other thoughts on the guys here?
Like it for obvious reasons, right? Being a Texans fan. But what I will say is the Texans, what they've struggled with is Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary. They weren't finishing inside the 5-yard line. Joe Mixon has been known to do that his whole career. For the Bengals, there was games where he'd get 3 touchdowns because they'd get inside the 5, give him the ball 2 out of the 3 downs, and he'd get in one of those 2 times. So love that play and love that for the Texans as well. The Neighbors one, I agree with you 100% on the target share. Also, I'm one of the few guys that's still a believer in Brian Daboll, the New York Giants head coach. This year, he said, you know what? My ass is on the line. I'm the head coach. Fuck it. I'm play calling. I'm taking over the play calling. They drafted Malik Neighbors. I think that the head coach did, him and the GM both had a past in Buffalo. They both came from over there. So I think that he had some say-so in, where they went with their draft pick. And with him calling the plays, I mean, I took Neighbors over 5.5 receptions today. I took him over, I think it was 56.5 yards. So I do like Neighbors to get force-fed, like you said. Not much of a target competition there. Should be a guy that's getting between 10 to 12 targets a game, if they want to be successful and just based off where he was drafted. So definitely like that. And for Achane, shit, he's healthy. So we
Yeah.
better be a must start, right? Gotta put him out there.
Yeah,
when
gotta
he's
play him
healthy.
when he's healthy for sure. Yeah, so this is just week 1. We'll see what happens long term for each of these guys. But recapping just the 9 guys that we've given out, I guess 8 if you want to discount Rashee Rice because he already started on Thursday. But for the guys that are just joining us, Ben gave out James Cook and Zamir White for Sunday. Rashee Rice already hit. I think he had 17 PPR points. And then Ron, his 3 guys were Jared Goff, Mike Evans, and Alvin Kamara, giving you love across the spectrum, a quarterback, wide receiver, and a running back for
A little
you.
bit of everything.
No
And
discrimination.
then again, real quick for me, Malik Neighbors, the rookie, Joe Mixon, the old veteran, and Devon Achane, the second-year player for the Miami Dolphins as my 3 must starts. All guys that are all on your lineups, most likely. But this is
I see Lou in the comments. Nice
Shout-
to see Lou after
shout out Louis.
a Ravens loss. Usually doesn't come out after a loss, but
Shout out Lou, shout out Lamar Jackson. For those of you that started him, he also did pretty good. Now, this is my favorite part of the podcast, other than, best bets. It's the flex zone, because this is the one where you're truly, like Ron said in the scenario, you're there toggling on your app, whichever one you're using. Do I start a receiver here? Do I start a running back? What do I do? What's going on with the flex zone? Because this can make or break your lineup sometimes, the decision that you make here. Like if you were so brave and you started Xavier Worthy, you got a fresh 21 points on Thursday night if you play PPR because he scored twice for you, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, showed out week 1. So flex of the week, an important segment here. We're going to talk about 3 players. Justin, if you have a guy, throw one in, but we're going to talk about the 3 guys here to get started and any honorable mentions. I'll go first. Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN, former first round, top 10 pick, I believe, for the Seattle Seahawks, or, top 15, if you will. Ohio State, wide receiver factory. We all know Marvin Harrison Jr. just came out. Well, JSN came out last year, didn't have the best start, came into camp injured, or left camp injured rather, with a wrist injury. Took a little while to get started, kind of, came onto the scene towards the end of the year. He's my flex of the week. He's got a favorable matchup against Denver, ninth worst against the pass last year. Got a favorable matchup in the slot because that's where he lines up primarily against McMillan, cornerback for Denver. So he's going to avoid Patrick Surtain for the most part. He came in per PFF, the 31st out of 34 ranked slot cornerbacks with snaps that qualify for ranking. And then a new offensive coordinator, new head coach equals more explosive opportunities. The new offensive coordinator is a former OC for the Washington Huskies. They made the national championship last year, or the Final Four. We all know what their receivers did. They put 3 of them into the draft or into the league this past year in Polk, McMillan, and Odunze, the first round pick. So I'm rolling with JSN to get off to a good start. I like the new offense. I think his role is going to be expanded. Tyler Lockett's a little gimpy to start the year. He's another year older. I like JSN as my flex of the week. We'll give the next 2 guys to give their thoughts, and we'll recap there at the end. Ben, you had the next guy on the list. Who's your guy?
Yeah, I spoke a little bit about the hero running back and, maybe going wide receiver and QB tight end early. Maybe you took one of these guys, Jerome Ford. We know Nick Chubb is on the PUP list, at least for the first 4 weeks. So he's taking up one of your IR spots. And Jerome Ford is a guy that was there in the 9th, 10th, 11th round, to be taken and get you at least those 4 guaranteed starts. We saw what he did, when he took over last year. He was pretty viable. I mean, in some leagues that we play Fab, we saw him go for up to $100 a Fab. So he was a guy that, with Cleveland, though, if there's one guy in the backfield, they usually make that guy a workhorse.
Yeah,
that's kind of been their MO. So even him going for that much Fab last year, I thought that it paid off because you could pencil him in as a starter every week. So for me, I'm going Jerome Ford, put him in the flex spot. And just to answer Jerry's question, he says James Cook or Connor for the flex. Both decent options. I had James Cook as a must start, Jerry. So I would go James Cook in your flex option.
There we go. I agree. I like James Cook there as a flex. Ron, who's your guy?
Give me Mr. DJ Moore. He's going against that Titans defense who allowed the 3rd most receptions and the 6th most passing yards last year to wide receivers. And I'm on the Hard Knocks hype. I ain't going to lie. I watch Hard Knocks and I'm like, damn, these guys are good. Damn, these guys got chemistry. damn, they're gonna get. I just fucking dude. I watched the show and it fucking hypes me up. He also is another guy who got paid. He got his money in the Hard Knocks episode. They take him off the field, call him up to the GM's office. He signs a contract, puts ink on the deal, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be a rookie sensation. There was a clip where he says that he doesn't get nervous apparently for big games. He just doesn't. And with Keenan Allen over there on the other side, defenses are going to have to pay attention to him. They went and got DeAndre Swift. So I think that he's going to have a little bit more opportunity and that defenses aren't going to focus on him as much. And against the Titans defense at home, give me DJ Moore as your flex of the week.
Ron, that's why we're going to work on this, Ron. That's wide receiver 1. He's never a flex. So, Roma Dunze or somebody we're going to give you. But DJ Moore will eat. He's wide receiver 1, though. Because
if you have Tyreek and you have somebody else.
I feel you, but for the most part, like DJ Moore, we had Jerry Cavazos in the comments. Wide receiver 1 potential every week. Agree. It's going to be up to Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to come. And you always buy into that Hard Knocks hype, Ron. Every year.
It worked with the Lions.
They do a good job. Yeah. They do a good job on that show because I think it was the Jets last year as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people were loving Garrett Wilson last year. So maybe
it's
a year
the voice.
too soon.
Got
some questions coming in, and we'll get to them here right now because it's 11:22, creeping up on that 12 o'clock kickoff. We got a question here for Noe. What's up, Noe? Talking about one of the guys here that's listed. Justin, I'm going to toss it to you. Are you starting DeAndre Swift against the Titans? Or are you rolling with Ben's pick, rolling with Jerome Ford against your Cowboys? What's your thoughts here, Justin?
Bias pick, I got to go Swift against the Titans. I'm not a big believer in that Titans defense, so I'm going to go Swift. I do got a flex pick. I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll with this Pittsburgh train. I think George Pickens, the deep ball will be live with Fields there. Strong arm. Give me Pickens to catch a few deep balls today.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. A few honorable mentions for me before we get into some more of these questions. And these were just longer shots, but I do think that they might have some value this week. Chase Brown, running back for the Bengals, PPR only. If you're going to throw him out there, especially with T. Higgins going out, I think Chase Brown is liable, and you're running back 2, depending what your situation is there, or maybe even flex. But that's a very, very deep. And then another one even deeper than that was honorable mention, but I think it sets up nicely, is Greg Dortch. I like Greg Dortch this week, and this is just PPR. I think he sets up in a good matchup. He's going to be in the slot the whole game. Zay Jones is out for the first couple weeks. We all know Kyler Murray. He's back. Marvin Harrison Jr. And he's got a good matchup against the Buffalo Bills, starting 2 new safeties. One of them is newish. DeMar Hamlin, first time going as a starter. We saw what he did last year. So I'm excited about that matchup. And then the other guy's Taylor Rapp. So 2 combined starts for the safeties this year for the Bills. So I like Greg Dortch this week. And he's on the next list for me. But he's flexible if you're playing DraftKings or anything like that. And any thoughts, Ben, on the 2 guys that you don't have? I know you gave your thoughts on DJ Moore. What's your thought on JSN?
Yeah, you said that he's probably not going to see any Cortland Sutton. He's 100% not going to. I don't like DK Metcalf this week. DK Metcalf is somebody who you probably drafted as wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. But with the matchup against Patrick Surtain, a guy that shadows him 100% of the time, they had a matchup last year. I think it was 2 catches for 12 yards. We have seen DK, he doesn't have the biggest route tree. We have seen him get shut down at times by some of these, more elite cornerbacks. So I like the JSN play. And I also like his receiving prop. If you're somebody who likes those DraftKings or Prize Picks props, I like his receiving yards over because Surtain is going to be shadowing DK Metcalf.
There we go. And Ron, any thoughts here on Louis Rocha's question? Tank Dell, D-Hop, or Cortland Sutton at the flex? Cortland Sutton, sneakily, he is the number 1 receiver for the Broncos. So he does have value just off the virtue of being the number 1 guy. But is that enough to make you go with him over the likes of Tank Dell and D-Hop for your boy, Louis?
Well, at the beginning of the show, you went over the injury report and you said that there's a lingering hamstring issue for Hopkins, and I'm not the biggest Will Levis fan, so Hopkins is probably the guy that I would go with the least here. Cortland Sutton or Tank Dell for me. I look at the ceiling for both of them, and I'm going to go with Tank Dell just because I think he has the higher ceiling in that offense. We know who the quarterback is over there for Cortland Sutton. I just go with the better offense here, so it'd be Tank Dell for me, Louis, but to each his own, brother. And I put the chat up here too, so if you guys want to talk and help each other out, you guys can give each other some information too. So we can all,
So thoughtful, Ron.
I like that, Ron. I like that. And I agree. Real quick, I agree. I like Tank Dell. I like Tank Dell. Got a good matchup against the Colts. I think that can be a high scoring game there. I think it's being played in Indy. Ben, I assume you're gonna follow suit here and go with Tank Dell as well, right?
Yeah, not a big Cortland Sutton believer, and you just even if it wasn't Tank Dell up there, but yeah, I think Tank Dell is the option there. And whoever's playing Noe next week, no advice for Noe.
Yeah, I appreciate that because getting my back. I like that.
And Justin, you're gonna make it a consensus here and go with Tank Dell.
Yep.
All right. Any thoughts on the two guys up here, Justin? I know you're a big Ohio State guy. Any thoughts on your boy JSN? Do you like his prospects as a pro going forward, or are you a little turned off from year one?
I'm just a little bit turned off. I knew his speed wasn't at the level necessarily you need in the NFL, but his route running is really good. So he's going to have to rely on that. He doesn't have the tools of a Marvin Harrison or what's the kid, DK on the other side, but he's got the route running. So he's going to have to rely on that. He's not the fastest dude.
Okay. All right. I like that assessment right there. Definitely does not have that game-breaking speed, but I just like the way it sets up for him. And if it's not going to happen now, it won't happen. So just going to go with it here. Hopefully it does. And Ryan's got an interesting question. What's on your starting lineup for your game day food? I'm going to make it real simple. I'm a real simple person. Wings. I just got to have wings on game day. And
that's elite, though. That's elite.
And then anything else on the side, we can make it happen. So yeah, and I found a new flavor yesterday too. Not yesterday, I've been having it recently, but spicy garlic from Buffalo Wild Wings. I've never had that before.
Haven't had it yet.
Good. It's a really good flavor. Elite.
Wings on Sundays, elite, Roland. So you're top tier as it is.
Yeah. So any thoughts, boys, before we get into the next portion of the pod? And if you guys have flex stuff, keep on throwing them out. We're going to help out.
I had wings last night, so today on my menu is Corona Premier, to be honest with you.
Just beer?
Yeah, I had wings last night. But the underrated flavor, what Roland said, the garlic, spicy garlic, underrated.
Yep, I like that. Good call out, Ben. Thank you for backing me up there. And Ron, any thoughts on I know you're a big griller. I know you're always outside grilling. You were grilling yesterday. Any tips for the boys as we go towards kickoff here on Sunday?
I made wings last night as well. I was gonna barbecue. I was gonna barbecue today, but it was week 1, so I didn't want to be going back and forth to the grill and the TV, even though the TV's outside. I wanted to sit down, relax, and watch some good football all day. Hey, thanks to everybody for interacting toward the end of the show here. We have best bets coming up, so no, you haven't missed that. We're going to go over that to close the show because it is 11:30, 30 minutes before you got to put in your lineups. And if you are in our Survivor Series, now that we have the most people on here right now, don't forget to go make your picks. If you don't make your picks, 61
entries, Ron. 61 entries.
Over 60 entries. So go make your picks. Not right now, after the show, when we're done. But yeah, go make them because if you don't make a pick, then it is a loss. It counts as a loss. So what's up, Jeremy? What's up, Noe? Hilda, hello. How are you? Jerry, Louie. Thanks for watching, and we're getting into the best bets next so we can take y'all home.
Let's wrap
Just
up
to clear this up, JSN ran 4.53 official. 4.4 was the human clock.
Oh, there we go. We're having a little, 40 debate here between Jerry and Justin. I wouldn't.
Ohio State's my team. I know the guy. He wasn't the fastest.
Hey, and just real quick, Ohio State got another stud, Jeremiah Smith. That
freshman,
guy,
baby, 6'3".
I think he might. He's gonna be around Marvin Harrison Jr. when he gets to that point in his career, getting ready to come out for the draft. So hope. He reaches all of his potential because he's already a stud, as Justin said, 6'3" as a freshman. All right, let's get to it. 30 minutes, best bets. If you guys still have time to, tail or fade, you guys got some time to do it right here. We're going to go over it from, we can start with Ron. Ron, you're situated here in the middle of my screen. I haven't thrown it to you to start. Ron, lead us off here. Week 1, best bets. How are you getting your NFL betting started off on the right foot this week?
All right, 3 plays, real quick rundown. I got the Saints at -3, the Bears at -4, and the Bucks at -3. I like those field goal spreads. Give me the Bucks at home, and the Bears are at home too, I believe, and the Saints are at home. So I went with all home teams, all field goal spreads. It's pretty much just, to me, the teams that they're playing aren't very good, and I kind of want some easy bets to start off the week. I think that they're easy. I'm not going to break it down too much, because just for that factor, I wanted something easy. Great teams, great potential against bad teams. It wasn't. I don't want to break my head or overthink it. So
I like your Bears bet. There's some conviction there because I liked the Bears when I first looked at the spreads when they came available. But then I saw a trend and I got scared off of it about rookie quarterbacks or number one picks not winning their first game. Like they're like 0 for 27 or something like that. So I respect you with conviction with your pick going against the grain. I'm going to throw it here to Justin. Justin, you have a parlay to walk us through. Walk us through the 3 pieces here.
All right, we got Houston, Texans in the dome. I think they're going to eat. And then we're going to go Bills. I think Bills are a lock. The one that I am worried about now is the Bengals, but I think for the most part, Burrow should get it done. And it's plus 175 for the 3. I think Patriots, you got Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he's winning them that game.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
Those 3, I feel pretty good about. Parlays, it's hard to hit 3 in a row, but I like my chances here.
Yeah, I no real comments for me on that parlay other than I like the first 2 for sure. And obviously, as you look at my picks, I like Houston, but I would say that's the closest one or the one you're gonna be paying the closest attention to because it's a division game on the road. I think it's on the road, right? Or am I mistaken there?
It is on the road. They're going to be in Indianapolis.
So road game in Indy. But as we talked about when we were talking fantasy a couple weeks ago or futures, what have you, is I just don't believe in Anthony Richardson to win the game. So I like your pick there. I'll go through mine as before Ben gets back. I got a couple picks here. I've gotten more into the prop market as I've bet a little bit more over the years. Find it to be a little bit more fun and easier to zone in on one player or one particular facet of the game rather than trying to cap the whole game. So just to take that with a little grain of salt. Houston -3, as I just talked about, following suit with Justin here. I think Houston, they're just a better team from top to bottom. We've talked about all of their offseason additions. I don't have a lot of belief in real life because you got to separate fantasy from real life when you talk about guys like Justin Fields, and potentially a guy like Anthony Richardson, where in fantasy, he might get you 20 some points. He might find a way to get you. But if you actually watch the game, he sprinkled in 2 picks and a fumble and the team ended up losing, so I don't really have too much faith in him in terms of winning quarterback. And I trust CJ Stroud a lot more at this juncture. So give me Houston to get started off right. Houston -3. Talked about this guy as an honorable mention as like a deep shot flex, but I like Greg Dortch over 2.5 catches. We all know the Cardinals, they like to air it out. Kyler Murray's fully healthy. He's going to be lined up in the slot. He's number 3 on the depth chart. That's official, behind Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. No Zay Jones first couple games. So Greg Dortch is going to get unlimited run for the most part. And when he's on the field, he gets targeted. So that's just, kind of where I go with it. I like Greg Dortch over 2.5 catches. I think the juice on that's maybe like -130. So yeah, I like him in that matchup. And again, I alluded to it earlier, got a favorable matchup against the Bills and their secondary when it comes to the slot. Next player, I talked about him a little bit just right now in my pick for Houston, but I like Anthony Richardson to find the end zone today. In the 4 games that he was healthy, last year, he scored rushing touchdowns in 3 of them. And that included, I think he scored 2 against Houston in his only matchup against Houston last year. So I like him to touch the end zone at least once this game. So give me Anthony Richardson anytime rushing touchdown. So it has to be rushing. It doesn't get there passing. That's -112 right now, or as of this writing. And then my other guy, same game. I'm all over this game right now. That's 3 picks officially. Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown, -112. He was my must start. I think he's going to find pay dirt here. If they get inside the 5, I think they're going to give it to him at least 2 times. So you're going to have some good opportunities there. And I think they're going to be down there a lot. This game has a decent total. So yeah, give me Joe Mixon anytime touchdown. And you know me, if you guys have been watching this Sunday show over the past couple of years, I think this might be the third or fourth year we're doing it. I like me some teasers, whether that's a 2-team teaser or a 3-team teaser, but I'm always going to hit you with at least one. And this week, I thought it was too obvious, and I took this before the Higgins news. So I took this like on Monday of this week, and then the Higgins stuff hit like on Tuesday or Wednesday. But it's none other than a 2-team 6-point teaser with Cincinnati. I got it at -2. You can probably get that cheaper now because the line's at 7.5 when I checked before this came on. And then Seattle at Pick'em. I think that's a little bit more expensive right now too. I think it might be -0.5 point or -1. That line is moving in their favor. So Cincinnati -2, Seattle Pick'em, 2-team 6-point teaser. Those are my picks. Hoping to get it started off on the right foot, and we'll see. A lot of them are early. If it goes well for me, we'll see what I add for the afternoon slate. But yeah, these are my best bets for week 1. Ben, it's on you. Ron gave his picks, and Justin walked us through his parlay.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about your 5 picks here.
I see you gave me a lot of shit all week, Roland, just to go with the Texans at
Hell yeah.
-3. All right. Well, I got the Texans money line. Division game. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but
yeah.
Man, just all these new shiny weapons. Like I said, I'm one of Anthony Richardson's biggest haters, biggest doubters, non-believers, whatever you want to call it, at the quarterback position. Not saying he's not an athlete who's not going to rush for a touchdown and cash Roland's bet, but throwing wise, he ain't going to do shit. After that, I do like Seattle -5.5. Hint, maybe some survivor pool, in effect there. And then I like the Giants. Like I said, Neighbors must start this week. Dabble as the play caller. I think that he knows he's on the hot seat. I did like what he did as an OC, with the Bills. I thought that he was pretty good as a play caller. So against Sam Darnold, another guy that he knows because Sam Darnold played for the Bills as well for a while. I do like the Giants there at home. And then a little over-unders. I'm going to go with the Raiders and the Chargers. We know that it's Harbaugh's debut with the Chargers. The offense, they still have Herbert, but the weapons aren't the best. Roland alluded to some guys like Palmer, who I do like in deeper fantasy leagues, just because he's going to have to throw to somebody. Ladd McConkey, Gus Edwards is their starting running back. I think that we're going to see a lot of punts in this game, and I like an under there. And then the Sunday nighter, Detroit and the Rams, I like the over. It's going to be, if you have fantasy players in that game, I think you're going to be pretty happy, similar to that Friday night game with the Eagles and the Packers.
Detroit and the Rams, what a nice treat tonight, man.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That's a great Sunday night football matchup, Rams versus Lions. I like
Monday night's pretty good too, with the storyline of Jets and Niners. Aaron Rodgers, wanting to beat the Niners, he wanted to go to the Niners. So see what happens.
Some great primetime matchups. Ben, I obviously like Houston, like Seattle. I'm involved there. I gave Ron props while you were gone because Ron had some conviction with his Bears pick, but you have some conviction yourself, back in Danny Dimes and the New York Giants to win the game. I like, fantasy wise Neighbors, but you're taking a step further. You're backing them to win the game. Hey, but you got to look on the other side. You called them out, Sam Darnold. I mean, realistically, how much of a better setup is that for the Vikings, than
if not now, when? You're not going to win this one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good pick there for you. I like that, and I think the line's moving in your favor. I think the line might be closer to pick 'em as we get closer to kickoff. Ron, Justin, your thoughts on any of the picks here that weren't yours?
I just want to walk Ben through. If you like New York Giants +1.5, then you probably like them to win the game. Why wouldn't you take the money line and get the plus money?
Because, it's the NFL. The extra points are further back. We've seen guys miss extra points.
Okay.
There's 1-point wins all the time.
Yeah, 28-27. 14.
It's like if you're getting points, you just take the points. It's not like if it was like a +7 or a +8 where you maybe sprinkle a little bit on the money line because you're like over +200. But at what's the money line for this? +115. I'll just take my 1.5.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you do the math on it, it's not much of a difference. So,
and Ron, anything else to add here on the picks, or you're ready to talk to some Survivor because we are coming up on 12 o'clock?
Yeah, no, I'm ready, man. Let's get
I
to
gotta get my
Survivor. We still
fantasy in
got to
too.
tinker a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's get it. We got to give ourselves some times to do our last minute tweaks as well. But it's none other than we talking about Sports Survivor Pool 2.0. This is week 1, and it's a lot harder than previous week ones. I know we've been talking about it a little bit. Not a lot of places to go this week, but I do want to throw out a couple stats about the Survivor Pool. I think we've cleared 60 entries. So last year, I don't think we cleared 40. So, I mean, we're almost doubling what our entries were last year, because last year I think we ended up around 37 or 38. So to clear 60, props to everybody that's joined, props to everybody that's been sharing with your friends. But guys, it's here. Got to make some decisions. Got less than 20 minutes to decide. Justin, I'm going to throw it to you. What's your favorite Survivor Pool pick this week? Playing it safe, or are you going game theory and trying to get a little smart here?
No, I'm rolling with what your advice was, Roland. You said earlier off the podcast, Seattle, if you don't pick them now, when can you ever pick them? I'm gonna go with Seattle to open it up.
There we go. And so, are you in your Survivor Pool that you're playing in? Are you multiple entry, or are you rolling solo dolo?
So it's for 1 Bitcoin, the Survivor League I'm in, and I am playing solo dolo. You only get 1 pick.
Okay, all right. So I hope my advice doesn't lead you astray. And good luck this week. I like the thought there. Ron, what's your thought on Survivor Pool this week? Playing it safe, or are you kind of looking down the board a little bit like Justin?
I looked down the board a little bit, but I went with Bears and the Saints. They're both home teams playing against teams that aren't very good in the Titans and the Panthers. I have 2 entries. We do allow multiple entries. If you're going to get a super last minute entry in, do it now. It's still available. The Bears and the Saints for me at home. Let's hopefully go 2-0 and move on to next week.
I like it, Ron. You're toting the line a little bit. You're not
That
going
Bears
with
thing has
obvious
really got
pick.
him.
Yeah,
That
I
Hard
like
Knocks
that.
really influenced.
I like that. Wow, Edgar is throwing some
My
bad
fingernails
juju.
are
I don't like it, Edgar. Keep those bad thoughts away, please. Ben, I'm gonna throw it to you. The other Diaz here, the one on the podcast. Ben, what's your thoughts on Survivor Pool this week? I know it's tough.
Yeah, for Survivor Pool, I ended up entering with 2 entries just like I did last year, and of course I don't like to go with the same team for both. I won't touch on the Seahawks. I did go one of them there, and then obviously I went with the obvious, the Bengals. Thought about switching it. Thought about using the Saints as well, just based off, when are you going to use the Saints again, and they're at home. But it ended up being a division game, and it scared me off a little bit, so I didn't want to take the shot there. I just went with the Bengals.
All right, no argument there, because it looks like our pick sheet is going to look exactly the same, because I'm on the 2 same teams as you. I'm on the Bengals, and I'm on the Seahawks, like you and Justin. Just kind of same thoughts there as both of you guys had. The other team that I was toggling with throughout the week, though, was the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Steelers. I like that matchup for the Falcons at home, introducing Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of expectations, new head coach, new OC. Finally, no Arthur Smith gonna get unleashed Bijan. And I didn't have high hopes for the Steelers, as we talked about on the futures. I'm on their unders this year. I don't think they're gonna clear that 500 average that Tomlin has been batting his whole coaching career. So, and with Justin Fields, I think they're gonna beat them even worse. Justin Fields is not gonna win a game for the Steelers, or at least this week 1. So that was the one I was thinking of, but I'm going to say the Falcons. Maybe they have some other shots against the Carolina Panthers if they continue to be bad throughout this year. So yeah, those are my thoughts. That was a little honorable mention, a team that I did not pick. Guys, any honorable mentions? I know Ron threw out the Saints. That's a team that only a lot of people were throwing as, hey, you're not gonna use the Saints ever again, other than this week. Would you guys be comfortable going Saints at home against Carolina or against the Panthers? Ben, Ron, what are your thoughts on that? You think it's Ben, Justin, a little risky, or are you with Ron here?
Ron went with the Saints, didn't he?
Yeah, I know. I'm asking your thoughts.
They were one of my choices. They made my final 3. Obviously, I only get 2 picks, so I didn't go with them. But they were one of my final 3, yes. And the Bills were also one. It's just that they play in division with the Patriots, kind of saving them for one of those Patriots matchups where they own the Patriots.
Fair enough. Ron, any honorable mentions for you that you mentioned already, or want to mention again before we log off?
No, man. That was it. I kind of was leaning the Bengals, but all that shit came out with Chase and Higgins before we went on the show, so I'm good. Just
Real quick, what do we make of the Tyreek Hill incident?
Oh man, some Scotty
Crazy.
Scheffler incident. Apparently, he went through some barricades, kind of like Scotty did, and so he ended up in some handcuffs.
Had him laid out on the floor, face down, bro.
That's a little crazy. I mean,
It is.
They got to know who Tyreek Hill is. I know you don't want guys getting special treatment, but I mean, come on, like that's a little unnecessary, regardless of who it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my lineups already over here trying.
Yeah, Ron's doing the tweaking.
I got to tune in too, Ron. I'm with you.
Ron's doing the tweaking. Yeah. We're closing in on 15 minutes. I'm looking at 11:46 right now on my phone. So guys, if you guys got up with us, we started around 10:30. Appreciate it. This is only week 1. We're gonna hit you guys with the Tuesday waiver wire, starter sit show. Excuse my list. Never got over that from ELA or whatever you want to call it. I took that class when I was.
To be honest, it was pretty clean. I didn't even hear it.
But yeah, we're gonna have some start sit for you guys. We're gonna keep it going. Football is the season that keeps on giving, or the sport that keeps on giving. Gotta love it. But yeah, guys, any parting shots as we log off and start doing some last minute stuff?
Good luck to everybody, and I hope you do well in fantasy, but you shit the bed on Survivor so I can win.
Oh yeah, because Ron, you might be one of the only guys on the Bears and Saints. I'm interested to see that percentage, and we'll keep track of that. I'll try and post it cool. As the games go on. What the
I know Mondo's on the Saints as well.
There we go. All right, guys. Justin, any parting shots for you?
Nothing. Glad the season's here, man. Let's get it. Let's get the boys winning. Let's get that Dak Prescott contract paying off. Let's do it.
Like the pit at 3:00. You got the Cowboys playing, then you got the Astros on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. I mean, the weather's beautiful. We see rolling with the hoodie under the jersey.
King Tuck back.
It's about hoodie weather.
Got a brisk little fall breeze. I love it. Yeah.
We start talking Astros. We gotta go. We start talking Astros.
All right, fellas. We talking about sports. See ya.